Okay, hi. Welcome to another Q&A. Thank you so much for asking these wonderful questions, and my apologies that I was not available last week because I was at IBW, as you might have all guessed it. I met so many incredible people, learned so many great things, made a lot of new connections, for which I'm really happy about. So let's get down to these questions, which I should have answered there, but I just didn't get the time to. News first, yes. Hi Sri, thanks for doing this. Can you comment on any specific fitness or exercise routines for long rides? Thank you. For long rides, focus on your core. That's the most important thing. After core, do some quad building exercises because you will be moving your bike around in slow traffic, which will come really handy. And for touring, do focus on your shoulders as well because after you ride for more than 1 hour, they'll start to sag, then fatigue will start to build up. So it really helps that your shoulders are trained for the long haul, I would say that. Hello. I'm looking to buy my first bike in a few months. I like filtering through traffic and would like the bike to be nimble to handle. Loved MT15 for this reason, but it's too small for me as I'm 5'9" and have a built-up body and 29 years old. I have been looking into Himalayan as I love its off-road capabilities. However, it's really heavy and I had to be very cautious while driving, which is mentally draining. Out of 4 times I rode it, I had dropped it twice due to weight tipping at low-speed traffic. I am now shifting towards Guerrilla as it's the closest similarity bike and like the looks of it. And I have seen people do crazy stunts on it, which will be fun to learn. Will buying Himalayan be a good decision? If I can get used to the weight and hopefully do off-road, should I go for Guerrilla and enjoy its speed and agility in daily traffic? Heart says Himalayan, but brain says Guerrilla. Need your 2 cents, please. My friend said I should go for Guerrilla as my first bike and then later down the line buy something fun for off-road like KLX 230 or X-Pels. Your friend is right. Start with a really light motorcycle, I would say. But before that, ask yourself what is your purpose of riding the motorcycle? Do you want to do stunts? Do you want to do touring? Or do you want to just do daily commute and occasional touring? If it is the last one, daily commute and occasional touring, I would very much suggest you to go for Himalayan 450. That is a really good bike, and yes, as you get used to it, you'll start to enjoy the bike a bit more. Don't get me wrong, Gorilla is equally fun bike, but the use case defines the motorcycle. I'm planning to do a ride in the Ladakh region. I'm from Tamil Nadu, so I have to ship my bike there, but I'm worried about the safety and the chance of my bike getting damaged. Is there a safer way? By the way, we are 55k strong. Let's go. Thank you so much for your wishes. Yes, one way is this, that you have to live with this risk. My friend also recently shipped his Himalayan, which he purchased from Gurgaon, to Pondicherry. And the only damage that was done to his motorcycle was that his mirrors were like kind of loosened up and his clutch lever was kind of bent, which is something that you have to live with it. However, one more choice you have. Ride the motorcycle from Tamil Nadu to Ladakh and then back. Just plan your route along. It's a bit adventurous, I would say. So the more you plan your stays, the better it is for you. That's what I would suggest. I have money to spend. I will be buying my first bike. Should I get a 650 RE, a 450 RE, or any 350 bike? I really want to make a decision. Currently rooting for Guerrilla. Before you make a decision, I would really urge you to go for multiple test rides because that will really tell you what kind of bike is suited for you. Without a test drive, you can go buy any bike and after 2-3 weeks, you'll start complaining that, oh, this bike behaves like this bike behaves like that. If you want my advice, seriously speaking, go for a second-hand 350cc motorcycle. Get used to the weight because it's your first motorcycle. Get used to it. And once you are really comfortable, then sell that off and buy a new one. Preferably a 650. That should help. Hey Sri, this is Vedang. Loved your videos a lot. I owned a Himalayan 450 and I wanted to do performance mod related air filter and spark plug. I searched a couple of these, so what should I install? BMC or Engage filter or NGK or Engage spark plug? Or out of it, do you have any suggestions? Please let me know. Go for BMC. That's pretty good. I also have installed a BMC air filter on my motorcycle, which is very nice. And spark plugs, NGK is the best. Go for it. Hey Sri, what's your opinion on the X-Pulse 210? Is it good off-road bike for a beginner? Love your content. You make my day 10 times better when you upload your videos. Thank you so much for your support and your kind words. Yes, X-Pulse is a fantastic motorcycle if you want to learn how to ride in trails. It's remarkable that motorcycle, X-Pulse 210, ranges from a beginner to an intermediate to an expert. All three of these capable riders will agree that X-Pulse is a fantastic motorcycle. You can also tour on it. The only downside of it is there is a little less power to it, because you'll feel that if you're coming from a Desert X or you're coming from an Interceptor 650, you'll feel that there is a lack of power, but it surely makes up a lot in the off-road regions. So yes, definitely go for it. I really love this series. I'm in the market for a bike under 4 lakhs on road. I plan to tour across India on it. I currently own a TVS Apache RTR 200 4-valve and I'm touring Maharashtra on it. I took a test ride on the following bikes and honestly, I'm super confused which one to pick. Speed 400, Scram 400, 440, Gorilla 450, Harley 440, and Yezdi Adventure. I'm 5'5", so the saddle height is an issue, but I loved riding the Yezdi Adventure in Mumbai. What would you pick if you were to get a bike under 4 lakhs? Thanks in advance and happy riding. If I had that much money, I would definitely go for Scram 440. That's a good bike. That's a good base to start on. You didn't give me an option. Otherwise, I would have definitely Scrambler 400, Triumph Scrambler 400. That's also one of the very good bikes these days. But like you said, satellite is an issue, so I would definitely suggest Scram 440. Good one. The reason why I'm not suggesting Yezdi is because lack of service centers, I would say. And how many Yezdis do you actually see on road? There is a nostalgic flavor to it. I'm not denying that, but the biggest service network is that of Royal Enfield, and Bajaj is kind of catching up now with Triumph and all the other motorcycles that they're launching. So yeah, keeping that in mind and service costs and all in mind, I'm suggesting Scram 440, not a promotional bit. Hello, hope you're recovering well. A small question from the previous Between Gears video about earplugs. I ride often and it's mostly always at above 50 kilometers per hour or 4k RPM. And when I'm in bumper to bumper traffic, I hate the honking. Can you recommend some good earplugs? I've already tried Simple Cotton, didn't help much. I've read a lot about loop earplugs. Any idea about that? Yes, I will definitely make a content on this. Also have this no noise earplugs which I use when I'm touring. Those are really, really good. They have a ceramic tip inside, and yes, I'll explain it to you in the reel. That's much better. Cotton, not many people would like it because it somehow starts to seep in. Loop earplugs, couple of my friends have used it and they've recommended that it's a pretty good one. Thank you so much for asking this question. Okay, next one. Very weird question. No question is weird. But how do people who go on frequent rides manage families? Yes, a weird question. Like if they have wife or children, like going alone on trips isn't guilty. Maybe you can tell from experience of the people you have met in your journey. Cheers. Love the tank color of your Interceptor. Thank you so much. I believe the key lies in management and communication. If you clearly communicate this to your wife that, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you are always in touch with what you're doing, where you are, your whereabouts, what you're eating, what you are seeing. If you constantly involve your family members in your adventures, you wouldn't feel guilty. But if you are feeling guilty, that is a you thing, and you need to work on it, not your family members. So you need to start trusting people to let them in your lives, your wife especially. So yeah, communicate more often. And coming that from a single person. Okay. Does engine braking harm the engine or not? And which braking method is the best? The engine braking does not harm the engine and it is the best method. So go for it. Hey Shri, I love your content. My question is, what all actions do you recommend to be performed while starting a bike after say 20 days? And especially in the context of Himalayan 450, do suggest the best practices for such situations and even for regular usage to protect the bike. So the number one thing is, I think I've made a reel on this also and I've made a video also. If you want to leave your bike for 20 days or more than a month, just disconnect the negative terminal from your battery and secure it with an electrical tape and let it be as is. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, then take out the battery entirely. Remember, disconnect the negative terminal first and then the positive. And while installing, connect the positive first and then the negative one. That's about it. And once you come back after 20 days, once you connect the batteries, just let the bike idle for about 5-10 minutes. It should be good. I've done this. Hey Sri, Scrambler 450. No, hey Sri, Himalayan 450, Scrambler 400X, KTM Adventure 390S. Which one would you choose? Himalayan 450, because I have that one. Hello Srinivas, have you had experience with mushroom type plugs for fixing tubeless tire puncture? Are they stable? Also, can you make a video on what helmets do you own? Thank you. Yes, a video of the helmets that I have is in the works. I'll probably shoot that video and put it out next week, since it's New Year's and I'll be out with family and friends. So yeah, mushroom type tire plugs. I haven't experienced those, but there is a video by Fortnite and they do say that it's quite reliable and somewhat reliable, but to install it, it's a pretty tedious process. Buying a second-hand Himalayan 411. Please make a shot on how to bring it back to life. Thank you, I will. Been following you on Instagram for a while now. Love your content, especially these Q&A videos. Thank you so much. Hope you continue doing this. I'm planning to buy Himalayan 450 soon, and I saw somewhere in the reels that you need to buy the crash guards and other protection items from RE itself for the insurance to be claimed and all that. Is that true? If not, can you suggest some good brands from where I can buy these bike protection guards? Thanks. Hope to see some videos on different types of riding gloves in length-wise and material-wise too. Videos similar to the jacket and the pants one. See you soon on the road. Yes, a video on the gloves also along with the helmet one is in the works. I will definitely be putting it out next year. And yes, I would definitely suggest to go for any crash bars that you are getting for any brand. If you have a Triumph motorcycle, then get a crash guard from Triumph. If you have a Royal Enfield, get a crash guard from Royal Enfield, because these crash guards and crash bars have been tested extensively in all environments. So if you go against it, you are simply asking for it. And yes, insurance companies can deny your claim in an unfortunate accidental event. So keep that in mind. Definitely go for OEM. That's it. Any advice for riding to Ladakh with Interceptor? Also, thanks for all the content you share. I was able to make some key decisions about my motorcycle. Don't want to bore you with the list of all decisions I made, so not putting it here. But heartfelt gratitude for you. Thank you so much for your kind words and your support. Thank you so much. Any advice for riding to Ladakh with Interceptor? None. Just take the bike. In terms of adding accessories, just add a top rack to it. That's about it. So that it'll give you more space to add some luggage to it. Otherwise, Interceptor is a relatively short motorcycle. So if you can add some luggage to it, that'll be really, really good. The bike is extremely capable. I've done Spiti on it and I've had no problems whatsoever. And yeah, essentials, keep the essentials in mind. Carry a spare clutch wire, a tire inflator or a puncture kit. If in case you have a tubeless setup, carry a puncture kit, spare levers, spare spark plugs if you can. Go for it. Hey Srinivas, how to maintain leather gloves? How often do we need to clean, and should we need to use any leather cleaning solutions? If so, what cleaning solution do you recommend? I recently purchased Rhinox Air GT SP gloves. So Trip Machine has recently launched a leather cleaning kit. I will be making a video on that very soon. And how often do you need to use this? It really depends on your usage. I have been using leather gloves ever since I bought the Interceptor, and I've only cleaned them, twice from the outside. They're pretty good. Yeah, good question. I'll do that. And good content idea as well. Hi Sri, hope you're having a good time answering our random, sometimes dumb questions. No question is dumb. Just watched a video about changing tires on your Himalayan. Was wondering, why did you not go for the Rice Moto or Trailhounds, etc.? Why stick to the stock tires? I mean, Seats are actually very good, but I feel you are much open to the concept of DIY experimenting on your bikes. Also, just share your general experience of the Fuel X. I mean, a sort of review. I'm thinking of getting one Gorilla owner here, but don't know if I should just stick to a light version or go all out like Abhinav Bhatt. It really depends on your preference. A light version will have one map or maybe even two. A pro version will have 10 different maps. The first two are the leanest, the third one is the stock, and the remaining ones are all richer side. Why did I go with Seat stock tires for my Himalayan? They're cheap and they last 16,000 plus kilometers. Yes, it is a hard compound. Yes, that's a given. And I don't really plan on cornering really hard or aggressively. And I do plan on taking my Himalayan to more other places apart from Jaisalmer and Ladakh. So yeah, it'll really help me out in the long run. Just saving some money, that's all. If I get a good deal on brands like Rice Moto or Trailhounds, if I get a collaboration request, why not? or if I get a sponsor also. Hello there. Hope you're doing good. I have a Royal Enfield Classic 350 matte black. Can you please tell me how to avoid scratches on the bike? Because it is very hard to do that. Yes, it is very hard to do that, I know. Just you have to be very, very mindful and careful. I do not have any PPF or ceramic coating on the tank of my Interceptor, and I'm extremely careful to not wear any rings, to not sit really closely to the tank wearing a belt. I do make it a point that I keep my shirt or whatever clothing that I have on the belt so that it doesn't scratch the bike. There's a lot that goes on in the head subconsciously also, just so that I can prevent the scratches. But you can only do so much. The first scratch will be the hardest. The ones that will follow will be pretty good. So yeah, just be careful, that's all I can say. Will you prefer clutchless shift or manual shift? Just to preserve your gearbox life. Love your speaking skills, by the way, so calm and clear. Love your speaking skills, by the way, so calm and clear. Let's go on a ride someday. Happy riding. Thank you so much, I try. No, I will not prefer a clutchless shift because if I have a quick shifter, then yes, I'll get used to it. But if I don't have a quick shifter, I really don't want to do a clutchless shift by timing my RPMs, my throttle acceleration, and then quickly shifting up. I don't see any point in that. You have a clutch that's because of your convenience only. So just use it. That's my 2 cents on it. I hope it makes sense. When are you doing review of Honda bikes, NX500, NX200, Transalp, etc.? When I get some friends who can lend me these bikes. Transalp, I'll make a ownership review very, very soon. As soon as my friend has some time to sit and chat with me, I'll make a video on it. Yeah, stay tuned. Hey Srini, have you ever faced false neutral issues? Like whenever I try to downshift from third to second or fourth to third, and this I face it once in 100 times. My bike is brand new, just completed 1 year. I see some people are discussing in RE forums. Any suggestion? Yes, this is a common thing, and it's an indication that it needs to replace the engine oil. So once you do that, once you have a good grade engine oil, that occurrence will not happen anymore. And also, this is dependent on how you press your clutch, how you engage with your clutch. If you press it completely, it will never happen. But if you press half and try to downshift very quickly, then if you miss up the timing, it'll happen for sure. Keep these two things in mind. I hope this helps.